I want to talk about something that's been bothering me lately, and weirdly enough, it started with this, a wall, and more specifically a piece of Forerunner architecture from Halo Campaign Evolved. I found this on Reddit, and when I first saw it, I thought it very much looked like a Mjolnir visor like the original post said, so I made a video about it. Wasn't saying that it was a confirmed design choice, I also just kind of thought, hey, that kind of looks like Chief's visor. And admittedly, I will absolutely make a video about anything. You have dramatically underestimated how interested I am in useless Halo information. But the second comment actually got me thinking, because this isn't even the only time I've seen something like this. There's another environmental detail in Halo Campaign Evolved, where the shadows form something that, at least to me, looks remarkably like a Scorpion tank, kind of facing backwards. Again, I don't know if it's intentional. Maybe somebody at Halo Studios deliberately did this. Maybe it's an Easter egg. Maybe it's an incredibly convenient coincidence. I have no idea, but that's kind of the fun, isn't it? Or, at least I thought it was. Because the more I've watched the conversation surrounding Campaign Evolved, and honestly Halo in general lately, the more I've started wondering, when did we stop having fun with this stuff? Because when I was younger, finding something weird in a Halo game was exciting. You notice a strange piece of geometry, a weird symbol, something hidden outside of the map, a suspicious texture, and you'd immediately want to show somebody. Then somebody else would see it, have a theory, somebody say the theory is ridiculous, and then somebody else would spend 6 hours trying to break out of the map because maybe there was something behind it. And half the time, there probably wasn't. But it didn't matter, because looking was fun. Speculating was fun. Talking about Halo was fun. Sometimes the community discovered genuine secrets. Sometimes something turned out to be a developer joke. Sometimes people found details that had probably been sitting there unnoticed for years. And sometimes, yeah, we are staring at absolutely nothing. That's part of being a fan of something. Somewhere along the way, I feel like that attitude changed. Because now you can say, hey, this looks like a Mjolnir visor. And instead of, oh wow, I see it, or I don't see it personally, or even, maybe, wonder if it's intentional, the response becomes, you're making things up. And those are completely different statements. You don't have to see what I see. You can look at a Forerunner design and see absolutely nothing resembling the Mjolnir visor. That's fine. You can look at the Scorpion shadow and think I'm insane. Also fine. But me seeing something you don't doesn't mean either one of us is lying. And more importantly, something doesn't have to be officially confirmed before we're allowed to talk about it. Somewhere we developed this weird binary way of discussing games where everything has to immediately become confirmed or fake. Intentional Easter egg, or you're spreading misinformation. Canon, or you're making shit up. And there's this entire category where forgetting exists. Huh, that's interesting. That's it. That's the category. We can put something there. We can look at something and say, I don't know what this is. I don't know if the developer intended it, but it's cool. And then we can talk about it. Because discussion doesn't require a conclusion. And the more I thought about this, the more I realized this isn't really about Easter eggs at all. It's something I've noticed across the entire Halo community. There seems to be this overwhelming need to approach Halo negatively before we're allowed to approach it any other way. And before anybody misunderstands what I'm saying, no. I'm not saying you cannot criticize Halo. Please criticize Halo. That's how people learn. There are things that Halo Studios has done that very much deserves criticism. There are decisions surrounding Campaign Evolved that I don't like myself. There are things in modern Halo that I definitely would think they could do significantly better. Pretending those problems doesn't exist doesn't help anybody, but there's a difference between criticizing something and allowing criticism to consume every single conversation we have about it. And sometimes it feels like we've reached a point where enjoying something requires a disclaimer. I know this game has problems, but I know everyone hates this, but I know Halo Studios screwed this other thing up, but, and only after performing the ritual, you are finally allowed to say, I thought this was cool. Why? Why can't something just be cool? Why does a conversation about an environmental detail immediately have to become a referendum on Halo Studios? Why does liking one thing mean you apparently approve of everything? Why does being excited mean you're coping? Why does speculating mean you're making things up? Everything gets pushed to the absolute extreme. And I think it's exhausting, because there's plenty to criticize. There always has been. People have criticized Bungie. People have criticized Halo 2, Halo 3, Reach, even. We look back at some of those eras with rose-tinted cope goggles now, but Halo fans have been arguing with each other since Halo fans discovered internet forums. That part isn't new. What feels different now is how much oxygen the negativity takes up. It's not just one part of the discussion anymore. Sometimes it feels like it's the prerequisite for having any discussion at all. And I think that creates a really strange environment. Because imagine you're somebody who's genuinely excited about Campaign Evolved. Maybe you loved what you're seeing. Maybe you hate half of what you're seeing, but really like the other half. Maybe you've never played Halo before and this is going to be your introduction. You entered the community excited to talk about something, and immediately discovered that enthusiasm itself is controversial. That's not healthy for any fandom, and I don't think this is exclusively a Halo problem either. The internet in general has become really good at rewarding negativity. Anger gets engagement. Mockery gets engagement. This sucks is incredibly easy to communicate. This particular decision bothers me, but I really like what they did over here isn't nearly as satisfying as declaring the entire thing dead on arrival, and Halo has something else working against it. History. Because Halo isn't just another video game franchise, a lot of us grew up with it, so every new Halo game isn't only competing with other games, it's competing with after-school memories playing Halo 3, LAN parties, Forge nights, custom games with people you haven't spoken to in 15 years, and no developer on Earth can beat that. You cannot out-develop nostalgia. So when something changes, even slightly, it doesn't always feel like, here's a different artistic decision. Sometimes it can feel like somebody messed with a memory, and I actually understand why people get protective of it. I do too. I love Halo. That's why I talk about random Forerunner walls for several minutes. But loving something doesn't require freezing in an amber, and criticizing its flaws doesn't require refusing to engage with anything new it does well. Those things can coexist. You can dislike a redesign and still notice a cool environmental detail. You can hate a gameplay decision and still love the music. You can question the direction of the franchise and still spend 20 minutes wondering if some artist hit a silhouette of a scorpion in the environment. And maybe it turns out they didn't. Who cares? We talked about Halo, we had fun, we looked closer at the game because of it. Isn't that what being part of a fandom is supposed to be? Because I miss that side of Halo. The side where somebody could upload the blurriest screenshot imaginable and say, guys, I found something. And instead of immediately trying to prove that person stupid, we'd go looking. Not because we believed them, but because we wanted to know. There is a difference. Skepticism is good. You should question things. If I ever tell you something is canon, I should be able to show you where it came from. If I'm presenting speculation, I should make it clear that it's speculation. That's important. But skepticism and curiosity aren't opposites. You can have both, and you can say, I don't think it's intentional, but it's really weird. That's a conversation, and that kind of Halo community is what I want to participate in. One where we can criticize things that deserve criticism, praise things that deserve praise, speculate about things we don't understand, laugh when our theories turn out to be completely wrong, and occasionally spend far too much time analyzing a suspiciously shaped wall texture. Because ultimately, we're talking about a video game universe where ancient alien megastructures are scattered across the galaxy, humanity accidentally awakens an unspeakable horror, and one of the most important military assets in human history regularly solves strategic problems by jumping off things he probably shouldn't survive. We're allowed to have fun with this. So, does this actually represent a Mjolnir visor? I don't know. Is this genuinely a hidden Scorpion tank? I don't know. Maybe Halo Studios put them there intentionally. Maybe I'm experiencing catastrophic levels of pattern recognition, but I noticed them, and I thought they were cool, so I wanted to show you guys. And if your response to that is, bro will make a video about anything, then absolutely. I absolutely will. Because somewhere along the way, I think that we got so busy arguing about whether Halo was good anymore that we forgot one of the reasons we loved talking about the game in the first place was fun.